I'm going to tell you something that most spiritual teachers won't. Something that might shake the way you've looked at yourself and others who claim to be light workers, healers, or awakened beings. Because the truth is, the chosen ones, the real ones, are not made of pure light. They are not innocent, flawless beings floating on clouds of peace and love. No, the chosen ones are forged in darkness, in fire, in pain, in shame, in trauma. And not just once, but over and over again until their ego shatters and something ancient awakens in its place. You see, we've been lied to, conditioned to believe that spiritual power is always soft, always kind, always forgiving. But that's not truth. That's marketing. That's comfort for the masses. The real ones, the ones who carry codes, who shift timelines, who are chosen, have walked through hell while carrying heaven inside them. They've bled in silence. They've lost everyone they loved. They've been betrayed by family, rejected by society, and haunted by their own minds. And still, they rose. Not because they were perfect, but because they transformed their imperfections into power. That's what makes them chosen, not what they look like, not how much love they preach, but how much darkness they've survived without turning bitter. I've met them, I've seen them, and I am one of them. And maybe you are too, but you won't know it just because you meditate or say affirmations. You'll know it because you felt like you were dying from the inside out, because you've questioned why your life feels heavier than others, why you carry burdens you never chose, why people are drawn to you but also afraid of you, why you feel ancient and misunderstood. It's not in your head, it's in your coding. You were never meant to be normal. You were meant to break patterns. But first, those patterns had to break you. That's the sacred contradiction. The chosen ones don't start awakened. They start asleep, but haunted. Haunted by a feeling that they don't belong, that something is wrong, that there's more. They carry wounds they can't explain and emotions that don't make sense. They get lost in addictions, toxic relationships, depression, isolation, and the world calls them broken. But in reality, they're being initiated. The darkness isn't punishment, it's a classroom. And if you're in it now, listen carefully. You're not being destroyed. You're being decoded. Ask yourself this. What if your pain was never meant to be cured, but understood? What if the darkness you carry isn't a curse, but a map? Because when we stop running from our shadows, we begin to see that our deepest wounds are the exact portals to our gifts. That's why the chosen ones are not made of light. They contain light. Yes, but it is born from the dark, from the ashes, from the nights they thought they wouldn't survive. And when they finally do survive, they don't come out glowing. They come out scarred. But those scars become their signal, their signature, their power. We must stop glorifying light and demonizing dark. That's not spiritual truth. That's spiritual bypassing. Real evolution requires shadow. The chosen ones know this. They've had to face their envy, their rage, their shame, their guilt, their pride, not to destroy it, but to see through it. To understand that those negative traits are just distorted signals of unmet needs, of buried power. The rage, it's the voice that says, I matter. The shame, it's the cry of your inner child begging to be held. The pride, it's the armor you built when no one protected you. These aren't flaws. These are survival codes. And when you own them, you stop being a victim of your past and start becoming the alchemist of your future. You want to know what makes someone chosen? It's not enlightenment, it's integration. It's the ability to hold both heaven and hell inside you and not run from either. It's the courage to sit with your ugliest thoughts and ask, why are you here? It's the willingness to feel the full spectrum of being human without numbing it, escaping it, or projecting it onto others. Chosen ones don't look away. They lean in. They go deeper. Until eventually, they stop seeing dark and light as enemies and start seeing them as allies, as teachers, as the two wings of the same being. So let me ask you, what part of yourself are you still trying to exile? What emotion do you still fear? What truth are you afraid to admit, even to yourself? Because that's where your power is hiding, not in your affirmations, not in your crystals, not in your rituals, in your rawness, in your honesty, in your unfiltered humanness. That's what makes you real. That's what makes you rare. And maybe, just maybe, that's what makes you chosen. You've been through things you don't talk about. You've healed wounds no one saw. You've carried others while barely holding yourself together. And still, you're here. Not perfect, not pure, but present, still open, still burning, still trying. That's not weakness. That's soul strength. That's spiritual royalty. That's what the world doesn't understand. They think being chosen means being above the world. But you and I know it means being inside it, feeling everything, and still choosing to love, to stay, to reason. And here's the final truth for this part. If you are chosen, your life will never feel like theirs. Your journey will demand more, cut deeper, require greater solitude and surrender. Because you're not here to follow, you're here to forge. You're not here to fit in. You're here to transmute, but you can't do that if you're still pretending to be pure light. You must own your chaos, your shadows, your edges. That's the only way your light will ever be real. So the next time someone asks you if you're a chosen one, don't answer with pride. Don't answer with shame. Just breathe and ask yourself, have I been to hell? And did I bring something back? If the answer is yes, then welcome. You're not alone. And now it's time. The moment you begin to awaken to who you really are, the universe doesn't throw you a celebration, it throws you a mirror. And for chosen ones, that mirror is especially brutal. It doesn't show you your light first. It shows you everything you've been hiding from, the shame you buried, the rage you suppressed, the identities you wore to be accepted. You see, the universe doesn't test the chosen to punish them, it tests them to purify them. Because the flame you carry is not ordinary light. It's a cosmic fire. And before that fire can illuminate others, it has to burn away everything false within you. That's why your life has felt like a series of betrayals, losses, and breakdowns. That's why the things you thought would save you fell apart. Because the universe is not interested in your comfort, it's interested in your capacity. And the more you carry, the more you must be emptied. You're being hollowed out not to be destroyed, but to become a vessel. Most people crack once. The chosen ones crack again and again. Not because they're weak, but because they're being forged. You can't carry divine frequency in a body that's attached to its ego. So the universe strips you. It takes what you think you need. It silences everyone who once validated you. It makes you invisible, forgotten, overlooked. Why? Because you have to lose the world's voice before you can hear your own. You have to forget who you were taught to be before you remember who you chose to be. And in that forgotten space, in that void, something else begins to grow. Not ambition, not identity, but authenticity, realness, depth. The kind of power that doesn't need attention to exist. It's quiet, it's steady, and it's unshakable. Sometimes it gets so dark you forget you ever had light. That's part of the plan. The chosen ones are always brought to a point where they question everything, even their gift, especially their gift. You'll ask, why me? Why this pain? Why does it feel like the world gets easier for others while I'm barely surviving? And the truth is, because you said yes, not here, not now, but before you even came, you agreed to carry something ancient, something powerful, and that agreement came with a cost. You didn't come to live a normal life. You came to collapse timelines, to transmute bloodlines, to end cycles no one else could. And that kind of mission doesn't come with ease. It comes with remembrance, and remembrance is always preceded by rupture. Here's what most people get wrong. They think being chosen means being elevated, but it means being humbled over and over, until you stop reaching for external crowns and start remembering your internal throne. Until you stop chasing power and start embodying presence. Because the real gift of the chosen ones isn't what they do, it's what they are. Their vibration, their frequency, their truth. And that truth only emerges once they've been stripped of the need to prove, to please, to perform. That's the real test. Not can you rise, but can you sit in the ashes without losing your soul? Can you be nothing and still remember you're everything? So if you're in the fire right now, if your life feels like it's falling apart, if you're losing people, losing direction, losing identity, don't run, don't numb, don't try to rush to the next chapter. The fire isn't here to kill you. It's here to reveal you. It's here to burn away the layers that were never yours. The masks, the roles, the illusions. What's left when the fire has done its work is you. Raw, real, whole. And that version of you, that's the one the world has been waiting for. Not the perfect one, not the polished one, but the true one. And maybe that's the dark truth about the chosen ones. The more we burn, the more we become. Were is seductive, especially when you've suffered, especially when you've been voiceless, invisible, underestimated. Once the fires of transformation pass and the chosen ones begin to remember who they are, a strange thing happens. The world starts responding. People begin to listen. Opportunities open. Energy returns. But here's the paradox. This is the most dangerous part of the journey. Because now you're not in survival. You're in influence. And if you're not careful, you'll start to use your power to protect your trauma instead of fulfill your purpose. You'll start channeling your energy into proving people wrong instead of proving your soul right. That's how the chosen ones fall. Not by forgetting their pain, but by building an identity around it. That's how they become the very thing they were sent to disrupt. You see, your power is not the end of your journey. It's the beginning of your responsibility. And that responsibility is sacred. Because now that you've remembered who you are, the question becomes, can you stay rooted in truth when the world starts clapping for your ego? Can you stay humble when others start calling you a leader, a healer, a guru? Can you still say, I don't know, when everyone expects you to have answers? Because the moment you start performing your power instead of embodying it, you lose it. True power doesn't need to be broadcast. It's felt, it's magnetic, it's clean. And the only way to keep it clean is to keep your heart in clear alignment. That means constant self-checks, constant shadow work, constant listening, not just to spirit, but to your own motives. The chosen ones are tested most after they awaken. That's what no one tells you. The test is subtle. It shows up as the temptation to be worshipped, the desire to be right, the urge to dominate instead of serve. And if you don't stay vigilant, your gift will turn into a weapon, not against others, but against your own soul. You'll start manipulating truth to maintain control. You'll justify your actions as for the greater good, when really they serve your fear. History is full of fallen prophets, people who heard the call, answered it, but couldn't carry it because they stopped evolving. They stopped listening. They started thinking the mission was about them, but it never was. You are not the source. You are the conduit. And the moment you forget that, the energy dries up, the light dims, and you're left with only performance. That's why we must anchor in devotion, not to image, not to status, but to truth. You must ask yourself every day, am I still in alignment? Am I still clear? Am I still open to being corrected by spirit? Because the chosen ones don't lead from superiority, they lead from surrender. They use their power not to control, but to liberate. Not to be followed, but to awaken others to their own power. And that level of purity isn't accidental, it's cultivated. It's a practice. It means choosing integrity over influence, silence over spectacle. It means walking away from things that stroke your ego but starve your soul. That's the real maturity of a chosen one, not how much light they radiate, but how much shadow they've integrated and still choose love. And love, real love, is not passive. It is fierce. It is clear. It sets boundaries. It says no. It doesn't allow harm in the name of oneness. One of the final initiations of the chosen ones is learning how to wield sword and heart at the same time, to protect the sacred without becoming violent, to speak truth without becoming cruel, to walk away without condemning. That's the weapon, discernment. And it can only be sharpened through trial, through failure, through humility. You will mess up. You will get off track. That's part of the path. But if you have the courage to return again and again to your center, to your why, then you become unstoppable. Not because you're perfect, but because you're real. So I leave you with this. Can you carry your power in silence? Can you still serve when no one is watching? Can you choose love when it's not returned, and truth when it's not applauded? Because that is the true mark of a chosen one, not the miracles they perform, but the integrity they maintain when no one is looking. You are not chosen to be famous. You were chosen to be faithful to the mission, to the light within the dark, to the path that called you before you were born. And if you can walk that path, not just once, but every day, in every choice, then you're not just a chosen one, you're a remembered one, a returned one, a true one.